Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are absolutely leveling up. If you've been following along with us, you already know that verbs are the engine of every single sentence in the English language. But today? Well, today we're transitioning from beginner grammar into the incredibly fascinating world of intermediate verbs. So let's unlock that next level of your communication skills.
All right, let's take a really quick look in the rearview mirror just to set the stage. Up until now, we focused pretty heavily on action verbs. Words like run, jump, and shout, things that show literal physical or mental action. We also dug into linking verbs like is or seems, which just connect the subject to more information. Honestly, it's sort of like an equal sign in math. And those are a fantastic foundation. But actually, a sentence with just an action or a link is missing a critical piece of the puzzle. It completely lacks a specific, vital dimension.
And that missing dimension brings us right to the core question of today's explainer. How do verbs show us time? Think about it for a second. If I just say the word eat, how on earth do you know if I'm doing it right now, if I already did it yesterday, or if I'm planning to do it tomorrow? Without a way to anchor our actions in time, our conversations would be incredibly confusing. Just imagine trying to coordinate a project at work or telling a funny story to a friend without knowing exactly when anything takes place. It'd be chaos. So that is the exact communication problem we're going to solve today.
Okay, moving right into Section 1, traveling through time with tenses.
So, verb tense. That is simply when verbs change their form to tell us when an action happened. I really want you to mentally highlight that word when. In the grammar world, people get very intimidated by the word tense. It sounds super formal, academic, maybe a little bit dry. But I want you to remember a very simple secret. Tense is just a fancy grammar word for time. That is literally all it is. By slightly altering the spelling or form of a verb, we are basically teleporting the action to a completely different moment in history, or into the future.
Let's map out exactly how this time travel works. Before now, in the past, I walked to school. The action is totally settled in history. Happening now or regularly, I walk to school. It's an active, steady, ongoing reality. And finally, looking ahead with anticipation, tomorrow I will walk to school. Do you see how the core meaning, the action of walking itself, stays exactly the same, but the time completely shifts? Just by adding an ed for the past or tossing in the word will for the future, we get total precise control over the timeline of our sentences. It's a real game changer.
Which brings us to Section 2, the rule-breaking irregular verbs.
Now, wouldn't it be absolutely amazing if every single verb followed those simple rules? Things would be incredibly easy. Regular verbs are reliable. They're predictable. To make them past tense, you just add ed to the end. Jump easily and cleanly becomes jumped. Walk becomes walked. Boom, done. But irregular verbs? They completely break the rules. Take the verb go, for example. If it followed the rules, the past tense would logically be goed. But instead, it completely transforms into an entirely different word, went. There's no ed in sight. It's a total linguistic shapeshifter.
Let's run through a quick rogues gallery of these rule breakers. So go becomes went, eat becomes ate, again, definitely not eated, see becomes saw, and write becomes wrote. Because there is absolutely no logical pattern here, there's no mathematical formula I can give you to just figure them out on the fly. Honestly, as a focused learner, your absolute best strategy here is repetition. You simply have to commit these specific transformations to memory. But because they're used so incredibly often in our daily conversations, they are going to become second nature to you in no time for sure.
All right, let's jump into Section 3, meet the helpful auxiliary verbs. Sometimes a main verb simply cannot pull off complex maneuvers all by itself. It needs a partner. Helping verbs, which are also known as auxiliary verbs, are words that help the main verb make a sentence negative, ask a question, or show continuous action. The most common helping verbs you're going to encounter out in the wild are forms of the verbs be, do, and have. Basically, think of the main verb as the superhero of the sentence and the helping verb as the trusty sidekick providing the special equipment needed to get a very specific job done.
Let's see this partnership in practice. If we say, she is running, running is our main action, but the helper verb is, which is a form of the verb be, steps in to show us that this is a continuous, ongoing action happening right at this very moment. Now, to make a sentence negative, we can't just say he not like apples. That sounds completely wrong, right? We need the helper verb does to say he does not like apples. And to form a question out of the statement you finished, we bring in have right at the front. Have you finished your homework?
The helper verb partners directly with the main verb to unlock these entirely new meanings and structures for us. The whole shebang just clicks together.
So I've got to ask, have you finished your grammar training? Notice what I did there. I perfectly utilized the have helping verb rule you just learned to ask you that question. Now, while grammar training is never truly finished, there's always more to explore, right? You have absolutely conquered a crucial intermediate step today. You now know how to bend time with tenses. You know exactly how to spot a shape-shifting irregular verb, and you know how to deploy helping verbs to build rich, complex sentences. The next time you read an article, watch a movie, or write an email, I challenge you to spot these sidekicks and time travelers hiding in plain sight. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking great questions, and honestly, is the English language ever finished surprising us? I'll see you next time.